So next up, we have a wonderful lady named Beth Mock LeBlanc. She's the chief creative officer and managing partner of the Orlando, Florida office of MLB Creative. She is passionate about leading her own creative team in development of brand strategy, design, and execution of all communications. Her career in advertising and marketing has resulted in numerous creative awards over a 20-plus year span. Her philosophy on life is eat your veggies, stay healthy, play and work hard, and rock on. Please welcome Beth Mock LeBlanc.
Hi, everybody. I'm very happy to be here today. I'm Beth Mock LeBlanc, and I have an advertising agency here in Orlando and also in the Virgin Islands. So I wanted to start off my talk a little bit going through a little bit of my history and also telling you a little bit about the building of a brand, me. So, let's see. This is my dad, and in 2000, he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. Has anybody heard about that cancer? Okay, so multiple myeloma is a blood cancer. It attacks your marrow, and it's pretty serious, but it can be worked with. It takes a while, but you can eventually, if you're healthy, there are things you can do to cure yourself, and doctors can help with that too. But my father had high blood pressure and he had diabetes, and that caused lots of complications. And those complications caused him to not be able to fight his disease. And so then in 2005, he passed away. And I looked at his life and how he lived his life and what he ate, and which was a lot of bad foods. He grew up with a mother who cooked and put giant spoonfuls of lard in just about everything. And he had no workout regimen whatsoever. So when it came time for him to change his habits when he was sick, he just couldn't do it. And it almost demoralized him. He's like, I don't want to eat like that. I don't want to change what I do. I just can't live that way. And so I looked at that and I reflected on my life and I thought, I don't want that to happen to me. And so I immediately thought, how do I change my brand? What do I do? Where's my jumping off point? And how many here have done a creative brief? So I thought, why not do a creative brief for myself? Who am I? In 50 words or less, who am I? And so I reflected on that. And I'm a Snicker-eating person. I would literally skip lunch and have Snickers. Like I'd have a bag of Snickers in my office every single week, and I'd go through them. And it was like, oh, they have nuts. Must be super healthy. It's great. Coke binging. I drank Cokes, a lot of them, probably 2 a day, easily. And it helped me stay up late, which came to the next thing. Sleep deprived. I would stay up hours and hours, and I would work a lot. And I worked and stayed up, ate Snickers, and drank Coke. And so next on my list is, what actress did I want to, or actor, do I want my brand to emulate? And so the first person who came to mind was Helen Mirren. I thought, she's in her 70s. I'm going to be in my 70s someday, and I want to be like her. She's athletic. She looks great. She has a great presence. I want my brand to be like that. So how do I do that? How do I be Helen Mirren? Well, I'm still probably never going to be Helen Mirren, but I in my mind, I was like, I think it's sugar. I have to cut out all sugar in my diet. And to my husband's chagrin, I was like, we're cutting out sugar. You throw that out, we're throwing that. We're not eating that anymore. And sugar it kills people. And so for Halloween, oh no, sorry. So Cool Whip, do you guys know what Cool Whip is? Okay. So my father used to eat spoonfuls of Cool Whip. He had it in the freezer. He'd just walk in there with a spoon. He'd go in to have some Cool Whip, and he'd just eat that every single day. And I thought, Cool Whip, that is what's killing people. Surely I'm never going to have Cool Whip, and I'm cutting all sugar. And then so for Halloween, I wanted to send a message that sugar kills. And this was the entrance to our candy. And you had a choice. You could choose candy or you could choose carrots. Either way, it's up to you. And it got a lot of comments and it was interesting, but that was my path. I was like, oh, okay. And so I said to myself, okay, sugar is something to cut out of your diet. And that's pretty easy. Anyone can do that. You can do that. But what am I going to do about my actual well-being, my workout? How am I going to get there? So I started running. This is me, sweaty. And Twitch, when I told my mom I was running, I grew up in a pre-Jewish family, which I don't think they know what running is, and they thought it was some sort of cult. Like, you're doing what? I'm running. Why? Why are you doing that? Well, because I think it's a healthy thing to do. It'll get my body moving. And they were like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And then I started doing research. What else can I do? And I learned about the blue zones. Does anybody here know about the blue zones? And so, the blue zones are areas of the world where centennials live. And they're where people live the longest. And so I started reading about that and what they do. So you read about it. Was one of the things that they do. Right, they have a community, and they really get together. There's someone else back there.
I heard that the phrase, I don't know the actual phrase, but it means to eat until you're 80% full.
Right, they eat in moderation. They don't go to Olive Garden and have the all-you-can-eat pasta and bread or whatever it is there. And they also, a lot of them are vegetarians. They don't eat a lot of meat. They occasionally eat meat. They eat a cup full of beans every single day. And they walk a lot. They're up all the time, and they're not just sitting in their chair. And so that started me thinking about how I can evolve my lifestyle. And I started being a vegetarian and eating that way. And that led me to my current lifestyle, which is 95% vegan. I do the best I can. I'm not 100%, but I'm getting there. If I go out, it's a little challenging, but at home, I'm 100% vegan, and I work very hard to try and keep that lifestyle, and it's a nice way to live. But I realized that this is where I'm at home, and I'm doing things, and I am at home hardly any time. I'm mostly at work. So I'm doing all these things in my house and doing it for recreation, kind of, but I'm not doing it where I spend most of my time, and that is at work. And so at work, you have to have, in business, stakeholders. Who has stakeholders? They're people who, they're invested in your success, professionally invested in your success. So I thought, you know what? I need people to be invested in my health success too. And so I looked at my team, and I said, I need you guys. We're getting out there, and we're going to start doing this together. And we're going to invest in each other being healthy. And they became, and I became, their stakeholder as well. And so I said, well, let's do this. And in the office, that's me on my treadmill. I pretty much walk most of the day. This is Thon on our community treadmill. And these are our standing desks. And so there isn't a time during the day where somebody's not standing or walking. And as a habit, you should set your habit to be like, okay, maybe I'm gonna sit for some part of the day, but after 30 minutes, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna walk around. And perhaps in the conference room, maybe I remove every single chair and make people stand up for our meetings. And so, or get out and just walk and go to lunch, or walk and have walking meetings. And so walking is a big part of it, and moving around and getting people out of their seat. Water. That's my water glass. Drink a lot of water. Who drinks a lot of water during the day? Yeah. So setting your clock if you can't drink enough water. Thon, he's horrible drinking water, and I give him a hard time. So I set his clock. And I was like, this is what we're going to do. When that clock goes off, you're going to drink a glass of water. And so just setting your intent and making sure you drink a lot of water. Eat something red every single day. And the reason why I say eat something red is the darker the fruit is, the more antioxidants it has, and the better it is for you. So you can bring that to work with you easily. At night, I make dinner at home, or actually I don't cook at all. I say I make it, but my husband makes it. And he makes extra so that I have it during the week. And so I make sure that I have food to bring with me. It's not only I know what's going in my food at all times, it also helps to keep me, it saves me money, keeps me healthy. I don't have to be concerned about eating things that I don't want to eat. Namaste can make your day. Who here does something like yoga or running or anything like that? Okay. Do you do it regularly? Do you find excuses not to do it? Yeah. So I did that, and I oftentimes went after work, and I said, okay, I'm gonna work out after work, and it became challenging for me because I would run late, and I would miss it, and then I would be like, oh, it's just work, and I can't do it. So I decided I'm gonna set my intent, and I'm gonna do it in the morning before I go to work. And I'm not a morning person. I never was. But you can set your own habits to just do it. And so if you do it over and over again, at least 7 times, it eventually becomes a habit. And now I do it all the time, and it's what I do. And so in the morning, I go have yoga and I meditate, and it helps to start my morning off with the intent of being healthy. So these are just an overview. Create a creative brief. We do it all the time. Why not in business? Why not do it for ourselves? Creates a good jumping point. Set your intent. Get the stakeholders involved, and you'll be successful because your team will want to do it with you. Get up, and I can't stress this enough, walk often. As often as you can. It'll help you feel better. You'll go to the doctor, they'll give you a good report. My doctor is very, she kind of makes fun of me to a lot of people. She thinks I'm crazy, like over the top healthy. I ask a lot of questions. I want to make sure I'm eating well, I'm walking well, everything's going in the right direction. I'm very obsessive about this. And then eat well, drink well. And you can be successful in your office and at home. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
When you quit sugar, like, how bad was it? Do you have like headaches? How long did it last until you were like, I start feeling better?
I think it was probably about, seriously, because I had a lot of sugar. I think it was about a week or so, actually, and it started to feel okay. And I'm a big fan of cold turkey, quite honestly. Because then what happens, I'll admit, I do eat some sugar now. I went past that, okay, I got rid of everything. Like, okay, and then now I've slowly introduced it into my body. But the problem with sugar is that it is in everything. It literally is everything. You're in the grocery store and you're looking at this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it has sugar in here. This is sugar. And then it just like everything added up to more sugar than my day should have. And it is hard to overcome because you do get those cravings. And in our office, if we have like birthdays during the month, we celebrate everybody's birthday at one time. So you don't have and that may be something to suggest in your office so that whoever's birthdays are in that month, you guys celebrate on one day. So you're not having cakes, cupcakes, and cookies all throughout the month. But yeah, you can. It took a little while, but once I got through that, fine, no problem. Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
What's your 5% monthly?
So if I'm going out, I try to eat as vegetarian as possible. But it's challenging to eat vegan sometimes because of the dairy, and that becomes a challenge. So if I'm out, I don't really say to the chef, I can't have that. Or oftentimes you'll be with family members who don't understand anything that you're doing. And it's kind of like, have you ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding? He's like, he's a vegetarian. That's okay. That's okay. I'll make lamb.
I thought you were going to say shoes.
Oh, shoes? Well, shoes are a challenge too. Yeah, I really try to live an overall, from at least what I eat, a vegan lifestyle. And I do try and, although it's really hard to buy shoes that are vegan. Have you looked that up? They're like $300 for tennis shoes. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're plastic, so if you care for your health as much as you care for the environment,
Yeah.
it's like, it's a big conflict.
Yeah.
Very disposable.
It's very challenging. Yeah. So yeah, that is, you're right. That, to your point, but I do try. It's just hard to do. But someday we'll get there. Yes.
How did it change your company culture when you started implementing and running the more healthy practices within your group of work people?
Well, it's really interesting because then everybody kind of wants to be healthier. So they start suggesting things, and it's like, okay, like the 5Ks, like, oh, well, let's join this 5K. And they'll come up to me and say, can we do this? And I'm like, sure. And they think about healthy things that we can all do. And then also, as we give each other a hard time when we come in with something completely unhealthy, and you're like, oh my gosh, Vaughn, what are you eating? And so as a community, we really look after each other and try and come up with things that we can all do together to be healthy. And we understand we spend so much time in the office that we have to create that base for us, or we're never going to get there. And so our culture is really fun, and the fact that when people are on the treadmill and walking and standing, our environment's much more social because we're not just eyes at the computer all the time. We're kind of moving about. So I'm jumping off the treadmill, walking over to someone. They're doing the same thing, and it makes for a nice culture.
Probably makes you more creative.
It does. You keep moving around. It helps your mind. It also, the treadmill, I will tell you, helps me focus. Sometimes I'll counter with that. I'll be walking, and I'll be like, someone will call me. I'm like, But it does help be more creative. And if you can't get a treadmill desk or something like that, really, they have these great adapters that you can put on your desk, or a box. Get a box. Put it up there. It's great. Yes?
Did you change your sleep and work hour habits? You talked about being I wish I worked anywhere I worked.
Yes, I did. I did do that. Especially, I wake up at 5 in the morning, and I walk my dog, and then I go to yoga at 6. And I realized if I'm going to create a routine like that, I really can't work until 3 o'clock in the morning. It's just not going to happen. And so I go to bed like around 8:30. I'm already tired. I'm like, okay. And I will tell you, I don't think you have to work as much as I did. I really don't. I concentrated my work differently and became more productive. And I realized, wow, I was kind of extending things, like I'll get to this later. Everybody says that, I'll get to this later. Well, later meant, okay, that's like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm at the computer until 3, and then I go to bed, and I wake up, and it just was a cycle that who here is 40 or over? Okay, so I'm 48, and I will tell you, come 40, I was like, what's happening? Like, what is this crazy, why? Everything worked really well before 40. It wasn't, there was no problems, nothing existed. And then all of a sudden 40 came and things just like overnight changed. And I think that had I known this, like had somebody come and said to me, you're going to turn 40 someday and you really need to be prepared for that. And I would have been like, oh, really? Why? Because I was so naive. I was just going along at my pace. And when you get older, you gain this thing called self-reflection, which I honestly was fine without that when I was younger. I really was like, I don't need self-reflection, thank you very much. And so had I known this about how things would be how things would evolve, I would have changed things 20 years ago and been more prepared now. You know, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, this is a total lifestyle change. I would have wanted to build this culture a long time ago, and I wouldn't have been working till 3 in the morning because I would have realized you don't have to. And you can change your work habits too and be healthier. Yes?
Your story sort of started out with you changed, if I heard right, because of your father.
Correct.
So how do you get the younger generation, or even the middle generations, the older people, to start to process this?
Well, I can tell you how I do it with my daughter. She's 24, and she thinks I'm crazy. But she has seen what I've done and the way I've changed over time, and she's adapted it to her own life. And so she has created her own healthy environment too, and does, works out regularly, brings her food to the office. She walks a lot. She stands a lot. And I think you have to do it by example is probably the only way I can explain it. And also by telling people, seriously, when you turn 40, that's it. You have to fix things before that because your body is a reflection of your life. And if your life is Snickers and Coca-Cola and sleep deprivation and working all the time, it's going to catch up with you and hard. And so I think that people who are younger don't really understand that, or they don't think about, because I didn't. I never thought about any of that. No, no one told me. No one cared to say, Beth, by the way, you're going to. Maybe I wouldn't have listened. Maybe you're right. Maybe I wouldn't listen. It took a. Oh. Well, how old are you? Oh. So I mean, yeah, my father had a big impact on me. They were trying to teach him different ways of eating, and he just could not do it. Could not do it, and it's like it killed him. Ultimately, killed him. He just gave up, and it was sad. Your question?
As one of the youngest people in the room, I think we know that we're doing bad, but it's just like I think younger people don't have the tools that they need to actually apply like healthy habits to their life. Like they know that they're not healthy, but they don't know what to do about it basically.
Right.
Yeah.
She just told you.
Yeah.
Get on it. Now you have some options.
Yes.
I think part of it is also just our own individual psycho-ed and being awake and alert to what are we doing, what are we putting in our bodies, how does everything make us feel, and it can feel really good momentarily. If I go to the movies, and now at age 54, as soon as I walk into the movie theater, my mouth and my brain.
Oh yeah.
Right? And my stomach is saying, don't send that shit down here. You just had dinner. Don't do it. I know what's in the chemicals of the popcorn and the butter and all that stuff, but my mouth is watering and my brain is going, happy memories and popcorn and movies as a kid. So we have to go slower to really think be mindful, what am I wanting? And as we all are educating ourselves about what is in our food supply, and when you said there's sugar in everything, if we're eating anything that's packaged, it's gonna be maybe a chemical shitstorm.
That's true.
So you've got to be so aware. If you don't know what the word is, run by lobbyists and big food companies, big sugar, big ag, all that kind of stuff, and they don't have our well-being in mind. So we have to be educated. We have to be label reading. We have to be aware. I'm going to eat this chocolate from this wonderful company because I know she puts incredible ingredients in her food, and eating a couple of bites of this chocolate is going to feel very satisfying. But for me, one or two bites doesn't leave me wanting more. If I started eating a bag of Lay's potato chips, though, it'd be all over. So I don't buy a bag of Lay's potato chips anymore because my mindfulness would go right out the door. And I know that after so many trial and error, so many experiments.
Yeah.
It's just our educating ourselves, I think, and being aware, how do I feel? Is this what I'm wanting? Am I liking how my body really is afterwards? It's like the 6 hours and, 6 days later, 6 weeks later, am I still liking this behavior pattern, these habits?
Yeah. And it's also, like the bag of potato chips. Don't bring a bag of potato chips to work. Bring some snacks that are healthy throughout the day that'll help to supplement you. And if you drink a lot of water, you're not as hungry. It really, it's hard and confusing, especially when it comes to food, because there's all these studies and they're almost every day changing. And if you look into some of the studies, I've looked into them a lot. In fact, a new one just came out which was interesting. So who thinks or thought it's super healthy to eat breakfast every single morning? Like it should be like the first thing you do. Yeah.
I hate eating breakfast, but my husband loves that, so I have to wake up and set a table for the kids and him to eat breakfast and healthy breakfast.
Right. And so, years ago, Kellogg's, everybody know who Kellogg's is? They put on a study, and several other companies put on a study, and they created this study that came out and said, if you want to be healthy, you have to eat breakfast every day. And that was ingrained in the minds of Americans for years and years, even now. And it's like, really? That's not the case. You don't have to eat breakfast every day. It's just added calories. And the reason why this study came about was because Kellogg's wanted you to eat their cereal. And so it can be a minefield, and I get that. And so that's why I turned to more of a vegan lifestyle, because it's always fresh vegetables. It's nothing processed that I'm eating. And if you set your intent, and I like this word because I can set my mind, and I'm sure every single one of you can, to anything. And if you set your mind to it, that is half the battle. If you say, I'm going to do this because I want to be a better person, you will do it. And you just have to keep doing it over and over again till it becomes a habit. And eating popcorn at the theater or eating Snickers all day long is no longer your habit. You've created a new habit to replace that bad habit. And so that's my email. And if you guys ever want to email me about anything, I'm happy to answer any questions or send you information. I really enjoy it. And thank you very much.